Good evening from Europe, everybody, and good afternoon or good early morning in some parts of America, the rest of the world. Hey, Antonio, how are you doing?
I'm good. It's a good night for me as well as for you, right?
Yes. You just had a round table as well, I heard.
Yeah, I had a busy evening. I was on a CTO roundtable. The subject was how to find your CTO for your startup.
I can tell you how I found the CTO for this startup, right? Actually, it wasn't for this one, but it was for
It
a
was for
previous.
another one. Yeah.
Yeah, but feed him hummus. Take him to go and eat hummus. That's the secret.
That's the best way to find a CTO.
And look, it worked.
Do we have
best CTO around? So I think we're waiting for James, and I think Zach's going to join us shortly.
And Mike as well?
Yep, we've got Mike, and we've also got 50. Where are you, 50?
Evening, Alan.
Good evening. How you doing?
Yo, actually, good morning for you. It's 12:02 a.m., isn't it, in Dubai?
Yes, it's just gone into the next day.
There we are. Good morning. Hope you're getting ready for a good day at work.
24 hours a day.
28 if we can fit them. Hey, Marcus.
Wait a few more minutes for everyone to join, and then we'll get started.
Mr. Tagg.
We've got 50, and here he is, James. There we go. And then I think Zach is going to join us shortly. He's currently speaking with MusieSwap because it's their birthday. Can you believe it's been a year since they launched?
Happy birthday to MusieSwap.
What a year.
One of the OGs in the space before any dexes were around. They managed to fudge it so that they can make quite a unusable, usable dex at the time.
Okay, so let's get started, and I'm sure Zach will join us very soon. What I'd really like to do first is for everyone to take the time to say hi. I know that many of you that are here know everybody here, but I think it's always worth saying hello and introducing yourselves. So, Micky, I'll let you go first. I don't think Micky wants to introduce himself.
You're on mute.
I'm the guy.
Needs no
that
introduction.
The first mute mistake. I think many of you know me. I now know many of you as well. I'm Micky. I'm the CEO of World Mobile.
Thanks, Micky. And then we've got Antonio with us this evening.
Hi there. I'm Antonio. I'm the CTO. I'm the one that gets all the when questions, but actually I'm the one responsible for software development in World Mobile. And I love hummus.
There we go. Key to Antonio's heart. And we've got Zach here as well. Hey, Zach, how did the other spaces go?
It went well. It went well. I made it here just in time.
Look at that. Thanks so much, Zach. I don't think that Zach needs any more introduction than that. And we've got Alan here.
Hi, Alan, Chief Operating Officer. Good to see you all again.
And then we do have James here, but it doesn't look like he's able to speak yet. So when he is, we'll introduce him then. But in the meantime, I'm going to go through the agenda for this evening and what we're gonna try and cover for you guys. So we've got an announcement about some special merch that's coming your way. So we'll let you know about that in a second. And then, as it's been a month since our last AMA and update, we'd like to just cover what we've been what we've all been doing, what we've been working on, and the progress that we've made over the past sort of 4 weeks. Then we've got an update that I'm sure that you're all really looking forward to. So we've got an update on our NFTs and also on Testnet. So that's when you can ask Antonio all your when questions. We've got a bit of an update on Airnodes and how everything's going with that. Also an update on our rollout in a couple of countries. So that's going to be quite exciting. An update on the Aerostat and how things are in Zanzibar, where we are with our website development, and there are several of those that are being worked on at the moment, so some news on that, and also where we're up to with the app, how things are going in the US. So James is going to give us an update on the testing that's going on there, and then we have a really exciting update about customers on our network. So we'll finish up with that, and then there'll be time for everyone to ask any questions that you've got. So that's the sort of suggested running order for this evening. But if you've got any questions at any point, please feel free to put your hand up. We'd really, really like to make sure that we cover as many of your questions as possible. How are we getting on? Have we got James speaking yet?
We do not have James. James has left the building.
Yes, we do. There's James. Look, there we go. James,
look at that.
Please introduce
Mike.
yourself. Right on cue.
And we've got Mike in the house as well.
Hi, yeah. Okay, for all those that don't know me, I'm chief of architect and inventor by background and do all sorts of mobile equipment, both hardware and software and systems and so on. So that's what I do.
And James is a fantastic addition to our team. They joined, spiritually a long time ago, but officially around a year ago. But we've actually got a new person. A long time ago.
Probably a new entrant.
And we actually do have somebody who's pretty new here. Has been around 3 months. Took over the marketing department, and I'm very impressed. And I'd like you all to meet him. His name is Mike Blake-Crawford, and he heads up all marketing at World Mobile Group right now. Mike, please introduce yourself.
Hey guys, great to meet you all. Been looking forward to this moment. I'm Mike, new marketing director, as Micky said. I've been in the marketing game for around 15 years now. Been in blockchain since 2014. You may have seen a change on World Mobile and World Mobile Token Twitter recently. That's my starting point, but expanding that approach very soon. Love the project, love the vision, and also love hummus, but that wasn't my entry point to World Mobile. I think it was sushi or something similar.
I think it was sushi, but I think we've found a common theme here. It's all about the food, right?
That's right. But looking forward to speaking and engaging with you all a lot more over the coming weeks and months.
Welcome on board officially and publicly, Mike. It's great to have you on our team.
Thanks, Micky. Great to be here.
Cool. Okay, so let's kick off with our merch news. Micky, would you like to update on this one?
So we have a very special holiday selection of merch that's come out. I've noticed that my face is on one of it, like an elf. The URL is merch.worldmobile.io, and we've got the holidays collection. So that's very cool. And I will be buying all of my close friends and family merch. And I think we're also going to be putting some prizes up as well from the rest of the community.
That's right, and it's been really nice to see how we've, the reaction to the community. I know, Mike, you've been working really hard with Jack and the team, and also with the creative team on the development of these. So it's exciting to see. Well, yeah,
you might have seen the community polls that we put out. We put out a couple of choices in regards to the sweatshirts, the sweaters that we've got. Because the feedback was so positive, we decided to bring all of the designs to the community. So, do check out the website. I'm sure you'll enjoy some of the selections that we've got on there. And we're really looking forward to seeing some of your pictures at the dinner table this Christmas.
My personal favorite is let it node, let it node, let it node. And all I want for Christmas is an Aerostat. I think they're great. Whoever invented those is fantastic. Well done.
It looks like Lucas has identified a niche in the market for new DEX.
Hummus swap. I like it a lot.
Cool.
Specifically for the Middle East.
So it's been a month since our last Spaces, and lots has gone on since then. We've been obviously working super hard, but we've also been out and about and meeting with you guys, with the community. So Micky, where have you been? What have you been up to?
My latest trip was to Lausanne in Switzerland, where I managed to meet loads of cool Node operators and the World Mobile community. I went there to open the Cardano summit that was happening on a panel with 5 other people, Verytree and Cello, who are not actually in the Cardano ecosystem. A lady called Mariana, who works with the United Nations, and the Emergo Foundation. And it was a nice panel. They were talking about blockchain for good. And then I met a few people there, did a few business and a couple of workshops, and hung out with the IO team, had some dinner. And it was awesome. And flew back to Barcelona to sit in front of the computer and make sure everything is going.
That's right. And just before that, James, you were involved in an event that we were working on in Saudi Arabia with the remote Aerostat launch. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes. Okay. So I mean, I didn't go to Saudi Arabia. I went to Saudi Arabia virtually. So we had half the team in Saudi and half the team in New Hampshire. And so what we had is a Saudi government official press the button to launch the Aerostat. Launched the Aerostat, went up to about 200 meters in New Hampshire, and then of course, as it comes up over the tree line, we connect all the cellular equipment that is looking for cellular, which every phone and every bit of kit is always doing. Saw the equipment, connected, and then we disconnected our video feed to Saudi from the internet and connected it to the Aerostat. So we went live from Aerostat connected LTE, and no one noticed that we'd done it, which of course is exactly what you want to happen, which is that you get a high bandwidth reliable link off the Aerostat. So that's what we did, and I don't think people appreciate that we did actually go fully live and switch all the video feeds and everything, but we did. So that was really cool.
It's super exciting, and I think we think that that's probably a record-breaking launch, right? I don't think a launch has ever been achieved from that sort of distance before, so it's a big deal. It's quite exciting.
Yeah. I mean, it was a good distance. It was probably the first live GSM, LTE connection that actually was used in earnest, as opposed to just as a sort of test. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
And James, that same payload is the same payload that is launching in Zanzibar, correct?
Yeah, that's the Zanzibar current payload. That's our Generation 1 payload, and I track a whole bunch of payloads that are successive generations, which give us more capacity and range. But that's the Generation 1. In fact, we brought half of it back over from Zanzibar to launch. And so we used that, and then that will be the one that goes up in Zanzibar. And then we have a Generation 1.N payload that will go up when we do our next Aerostat. But that's probably top secret, so I mustn't say anything about that.
And speaking about the top secret thing that we mustn't say anything about, there was another Aerostat on site when you went to New Hampshire. Is that right?
Yes, and of course that is in all the videos, so everyone knows. Yes, so we have built the next generation Aerostat, and that is a fully autonomous Aerostat. It is smaller than the one that is going up in Zanzibar, and that's sort of technically that's part of the technical competency. If you make very small Aerostats and you don't have them automated, they tend to bob around a bit like a party balloon. But if you have full control over it, and we have motorized control constantly monitoring it and stabilizing it, you can make a relatively small unit that is completely stable. And the nice thing about a small unit that's completely stable is that we can put it on the back of the truck and we can move it anywhere at a moment's notice. And obviously, it's also relatively inexpensive compared with a huge aerostat that requires a concrete base and permanent sort of mooring station. So yeah, so that did its first flight shortly after we did the Saudi demo.
It's really exciting, and I think, Mike, we've got some exciting content coming up that shows the journey of that aerostat all the way through its build. So I imagine that's gonna come out fairly soon too, which is quite exciting. Cool. So that's some of the stuff that we've been getting around to. We've been out and about doing, but obviously there's been an awful lot going on in the space. In our space, in our ecosystem, and in the space in general during that time. So Zach, Micky, James, do you want to share some thoughts about that?
I mean, it's been turbulent times, hasn't it, for the wider crypto community? The FTX saga, what an unbelievable. I mean, who would have thought that would have happened? And the irony is that it happened from a centralized body, a centralized person, and in a decentralized world. And now the image for the rest of the crypto world to non-crypto people is that crypto is a scam. But lots of people have got hurt, right? And then we've seen BlockFi today, and lots of other companies that were exposed or working with or held their assets in the treasury of FTX. So that's awful. And then we've seen Ardana in the space drop, Orbis, a few other projects as well starting to struggle. So it's a very difficult time for everybody. And I think that's why it's important to shamelessly plug World Mobile at the same time. But fundamentals are really what matter at the end of the day. You can have super cool protocols and great tech for the future and good yielding things that don't really yield anything except from on a Ponzi. And you can have kind of DeFi and all this kind of stuff, and it's cool. But really what's going to be there at the end of it is infrastructure, right? Things that people want to use, need to use on a daily basis. So I think we've chosen the right path. We were not exposed to any VC funding at all, have not been and don't intend to be. We're the people-powered network, and we're unstoppable together. We don't need VC funding. We were approached, and we turned it down. So very sad situation for a lot of people, but ultimately probably better for the space. We won't get another SAM, I don't think. And yeah, we move on. We move on stronger than ever, ready to launch our network. And if we can help anybody along the way, we will. And we're looking at what we can do for others as well who are struggling.
Thanks, Micky. And Zach, what are your thoughts on that from a sort of token perspective?
I think kind of the same as what Micky did. The irony of a crypto company operating in the way that they did. If they were using blockchain, they wouldn't have been able to do that kind of thing. The way that they behaved is the antithesis of what blockchain stands for, that transparency and allowing people to see in real time transactions and money moving around and crypto moving around. And it was just a lot of bad actors. And, I think people who are running multi-billion dollar corporations at 28 to 30 years old possibly don't have the financial experience either under their belt and the business acumen to be able to operate those platforms in a sustainable way. And I think long term, like Micky said, it's really good for the industry, but in the short term, it just damages the name of crypto. And FTX were not a crypto company; they were a centralized exchange. And in the nature of what they were operating was their downfall, which is just a shame for the industry as a whole. But we'll heal. Since 2012, I've seen lots of these sorts of things happen, and the industry moves at such a fast pace, and there's so much innovation happening that, in the next few months, it'll be old news and we'll be onto greener pastures.
Thanks, Zach. Antonio, do you have anything you'd like to add to that?
Well, what can you add? It is all about fundamentals and, as Micky said, real use cases. And that's what we are about, right? Real Fi, not DeFi, because the D component needs to have a real use case. And as Zach was saying as well, I think that shaking the tree for some dead leaves is always good. Short term, we are very sorry for everybody affected because as crypto grows, every year more and more people will be affected by bad actors just because the market is bigger, right? And there's more people in it. So one of the things that I think is key for everybody involved in crypto is education, is how to educate everybody that's joining the space to be self-sovereign. And that's one of the things that we've been slacking a little bit on, right? We have allowed these huge, humongous companies to be totally centralized and behave like the old banking system behave through history inside of the crypto space. So I think it's about time that we stop doing that. We are decentralized for real, but with real use cases.
Thanks, Antonio. I think that segues quite nicely into our next update here on the Earthnode NFTs. So, how are things looking? When can we expect to see a distribution? How's it all going? Give us a bit of an update of what's been going on since we last spoke about this.
Okay, so now is the when time. so to be honest, we were expecting to release the Node NFT next week. But there's going to be potentially the following one because we have found several optimizations that we should do on the smart contract during the integration with the wallets. And we had a small issue with the single address wallets like Nami and with the whole flow. So we are optimizing that. And after the optimization, even if I personally think, and I have the trust that it won't be absolutely necessary, we want to be extra sure about the security of the smart contract. So we will perform an extra audit on the modifications that we have done, just to be extra super duper sure that the smart contract is 100% secure. And after that, so we're aiming, as I said, to 2 weeks, as I always say. Don't hold me to that if it's an extra week, but that's the ballpark estimation. We just finished the integration with the wallets, and we did some optimizations that need to be reviewed again for security.
Thanks so much, Antonio. And I know that there've been some other questions here around how that claiming process is going to work, and I think Javi's been working on how this is all going to be communicated, and that will be released before the Earthnode NFTs, right? So all people's questions will be answered then.
Yeah, for sure. Communication is key. We have learned that the hard way especially with Lucas, our community leader that's embedded into the team, but he's as hard as he has always been. So yeah, communication is key, and we will communicate. And we will try to explain everything of how it should be claimed.
Awesome. And then I guess while we're talking about communication and documentation, we are still aware that there's the second part of the rewards paper to come out. How's things going with that?
That's been a joint effort from my side, as well as working on it with James and Alan. And looping in Antonio and the dev team there as well. So we are working through it all very, very granularly because we don't want to miss anything. I commented on the Earthnode chat about that as well. And Antonio just touched on it. We're really learning about our communication, and what we don't want to do is provide a timeline and deliver something that's half finished or leaves more questions that are unanswered. So we're progressing through that quite nicely, and we hope to have that out to the community in the near future.
Thanks, Zach. You guys are all so busy. Okay, next question in terms of timelines and updates. How are we looking with testnet timelines? Antonio, this is another when for you.
Yeah, that's my thing. So well, let me give some context. We work in an agile methodology, namely Scrum, and we do 2-week sprints. This week is the sprint closing where we anticipate to have the testnet node candidate. That means that if everything goes according to plan, at the end of this week, we will start to play internally with the node. And if everything goes as planned again, we will kickstart the internal testnet. What we want to do with the testnet is to make a progressive onboarding of Earth nodes. The methodology to choose which Earth nodes will be first onboarded is still to be decided, but we are thinking about doing it as fairly as possible. So maybe some random draw that we can potentially publish on chain, but that's something that we are still studying how to do it. But as you may imagine, to onboard 1,000 operators in the testnet at once, it would be a mess. So we want to do it progressively and keep everything under control, especially at the beginning where we can find some unexpected issues on the performance of the testnet mainly. So as I said, this spring marks the closing of the development for the candidate. Depending on how the candidate goes and the internal testing, we will spin off the testnet.
Cool. Thank you for the thanks for the clear update there, Antonio. So there is one more question on this before we move on, and that's the question that we've had around about sidechains. Alan, are you able to give any insight on any updates with this?
Yeah, sure. I think there has been an amount of speculation about what we do. Obviously, we're keen to share that. We've been evaluating many options on the sidechains, and we are close to conclusion. Well, not conclusion, we've already decided, but we'll be publishing that shortly. There was some discussion about which type of sidechain we're using, and we'll share that as discussion about Cosmos, which is one that we most definitely have been evaluating. But yeah, that's something that we'll publish very shortly.
Cool. Okay. So from Earth nodes to Air nodes, Micky, what's the latest with Operation Anode? Where are we with all of that?
Operation Anode is going beautifully in Zanzibar. Everything that we've wanted to see, we're seeing. The first lot of revenues will begin to be shown on World Mobile WMT Scan, which is going to be great because people are going to be then able to actually see what an Anode makes. Zanzibar was never chosen as the most profitable place for us. It was always a place where we knew we could prove the model with the Aerostat and we could prove the model with the sharing economy in a very nice environment where people would welcome the innovation we were bringing. But I'm quite surprised by what I'm seeing already. So looking very much forward to sharing that information publicly over the coming weeks. In Kenya, we've got the approval to take all of the equipment that we wish into Kenya now and turn it on. So stuff is waiting at FedEx. We'll come into country and we'll be looking there. And yeah, it's going to be fantastic that we're 225 air nodes by the end of the year is very much looking on target. You should start to see the number on WMT Scan grow this week and next week and thereafter. And yeah, it's exciting for me, right, to see it all come together. And I think we'll discuss the mobile app a little bit later on, but watching the mobile app work through an air node push to testnet is quite an achievement to see the ecosystem actually working as one.
Absolutely. And James, from a sort of US perspective, what can you add to that in terms of how the work that you've been doing about the air nodes over there?
Yeah, so in the USA, for the sort of the main Anode usage, we're using CBRS, which is a portion of Spectrum that's been open sourced by the US government. So we currently have 3 test sites running. Charles from IO is running one of them, and obviously I have one at my home, and Will Reed has one at his home. So that's our test sites. We're evaluating about 6 pieces of equipment at the moment, of which we've got 3 working reasonably well, and they look like they have a tick in the box to be able to release. We have our core running. Core is currently working for data, which means we also get Facebook calls and all of the sort of over-the-top apps working. We are currently working on voice, SMS, and MMS as native services. It's all currently being tested on an iPhone, which is currently working. So we should have that the native services running soon. We expect them to be running right now, but they're not quite running right now. And then we've got the more complex things to do: E911, Kalia, which, if you don't know what that means, it means lawful intercept for the FBI. Which you have to have if you want to go commercial, and roaming, i.e. the ability to roam onto other networks using our SIM. So we're working on all of that, those additional pieces, but they're all looking pretty good. We have it running on SIMs and eSIMs currently on iPhone, and we'll shortly move over to Android. So that's a quick roundup of things.
Exciting stuff. So World Mobile USA incoming.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, it's exciting times. Okay, what's next? What are we talking about next? This is a next slide, please situation, Mike. I believe actually the next thing that we were going to talk about was the CBRS stuff, and we've covered that slightly there, but
I've quickly run through. I think I've gone ahead a little bit, and obviously we are preparing an Aerostat to launch in the States for testing as well, which is fun. So that's being worked on.
Well, can we talk a little bit about our super high throughput radios? They're going to serve rural America, James.
Yeah, so we're currently working on a 5G advanced antenna radio. So it has around 200 megahertz of frequency that it can synthesize on, which means we can run, if necessary, 36 sectors off an Aerostat, and that gives us the ability to do 60 concurrent, 100 down, 20 up links, or higher number of lower links, and so on. So it's very high capacity, using some of the most advanced 5G technology at the moment. It's a split design, so most of the synthesis occurs on the ground on standard high performance Intel chips, and then the waveforms go up on the fiber to the Aerostat, and then get finally converted into analog and distributed to the antenna. The antenna is a fiberglass antenna, which I'm currently have designed, and I'm currently fabricating in, as I said, in carbon fiber to get the weight down. So that's quite a cool offset parabolic array. So it'll be one of the first of its kind. I think probably the first of its kind.
Enough, James. You know you get me excited when you speak like this.
So and so that's all that. We'll probably mechanically stabilize that to start with. The Aerostat is very stable. It's stable to about 1 degree, but the horizon at 50 kilometers is 0.3 of a degree. So you actually need to take that last bit out. If you think about it, on the back of everybody's iPhone, you have an optically stabilized lens so that you don't get any shudder when you're holding it and taking a photograph. So we're doing the same thing with the antenna. We're putting a very tiny, few centimeter they've in to just be able to take that last shudder out of it. That avoids fading at the horizon. So there's a lot of clever little tricks to push it out, but that will be by far the longest range antenna in 5G that's available.
And that antenna is not going to be the one that we're going to use in Zanzibar, but what can you tell us about where things are with the Aerostat in Zanzibar? What's the latest update with that?
Well, the Aerostat in Zanzibar uses a relatively conventional set of antennas. So it uses 4 directional antennas. So that's nice because the Aerostat can bob around a bit without any problem, but it won't give us the maximum range that we want. But it's pretty good, and it gets pretty good, right? Pretty good range, pretty good coverage. Standard LTE. Inexpensive equipment can pick it up because it's LTE, not 5G. So we've got that all able to roll out. But we will, in due course, upgrade that antenna to a 4G, 5G line, so it does both.
Exactly, and then Pretty Good is actually excellent because Pretty Good is based on our model of antenna, which nobody else has right now. So it is super exciting. And
I use the word Pretty Good because of Pretty Good Privacy, PGP, which is universally used to secure 99% of things by people. So Pretty Good is tongue-in-cheek, meaning actually very good.
Okay, good. I'm glad you clarified that, James.
Yeah.
So the D1 update in Zanzibar, you've got 100 bottles of helium just waiting there to be filled. So we're waiting for the final sign-off from the Department of Defense. It's now been escalated to the top people, and we hope to get that in the next week or two. It's something that we're pushing on, but it's bureaucracy. And, it's very important, however disappointing it is that we haven't got it up already. And believe me, I'm the most disappointed. Actually, there is a silver lining, and that is this is the precedent. This is the precedent for all future countries. If we get this right in Zanzibar and Tanzania, just like the sharing economy, it's so easy to go elsewhere. So we're waiting, and we'll keep you updated. The minute that we know, we'll then amass the team, and we have Christmas coming up and a few festivals coming up. So we need to be patient, but we're pushing as much as we possibly can, and we'll get it up ASAP.
Cool. Okay, so I think the other thing that we need to bear in mind there is also about the logistics. So, James, I believe you were in a meeting about the logistics around D1 earlier today.
Yeah, well, I mean, D1 is just frustrating because we're having to wait for effectively commercial go-ahead from some of the government departments in Tanzania. So as soon as we get that commercial go-ahead, we need around 10 days for travel arrangements, and then around 5 days to basically prep the physics, right? So we have some work to do to get all the network connected and tested out. We have some work to do to inflate the aerostat carefully. We do those two things over around a week. Then we give ourselves a week of spare time, and then we start inviting people to come see it. So that's really the timing. And I guess if they said yes right now, we would maybe try and do it before Christmas. But the problem is then we want to invite lots of people, so it'd be rather disappointing to invite lots of people to come see it and have them all say no because they're on their Christmas vacation. So we're just waiting for this clearance time. And then once we have that, we've got a pretty good known timescale to launch and then demo.
Okay, and we're going to keep talking about it. Let everybody know as soon as we get an update, because we're all keen to know when it's going to be too, and you guys will be the first to know. Okay, so stuff going on that's behind the scenes. Antonio and the team, the creative team, our UX team are all working really hard on the very final bits of the app, and also the development of several new websites. Antonio, can you give us a bit of an update on that?
Of course. So the app right now is being finalized in terms of user experience. It is key and very important to us that the experience for the users is seamless, because most of the people that will use the application don't have any exposure to crypto. So far the user experience looks amazing, because they don't even need to know that there's blockchain or crypto behind. But the application, this release is important because it's the first one, of course. But the most important thing is all the things that the app enables, and that's it. From the self-sovereign identity, the connectivity, and the finance side of things, that it's embedded into the core of the application, all the value-added services that we can embed into that application, that is where the real key value of World Mobile resides. And I think that Micky is eager to start talking when I mention value-added services, because that's the thing that he's most excited about, apart from antennas and potential super duper 5G, right, Micky?
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. This is the portal in which hundreds of millions of people, tens of millions of people, then hundreds of millions of people will access the value-added services. Well, we connect the unconnected, and then we bank the unbanked. So financial inclusion here is really sexy, and the partnerships that we've got set up are going to drive massive revenues. People are going to need to connect to access these services, and then Earth nodes are going to be processing these services. So yeah, it's revenue from data alone and voice calls alone is great. It's very profitable, works all around the world, especially with our model. But revenue from value-added services is what's really going to make the sharing economy happen. And we've brought on the first B2B customers now, which is pretty sexy. And this application, as soon as it's out in the wild, which won't be long, we're testing it now. I'm wondering if there's some screenshots that could be shared with you. But once users actually using it, logging in every day to access financial services, that's going to be a monumental moment for World Mobile. And yeah, off we go, off to the races. Nodes making cash, Earth nodes processing all the data that runs through there and the transactions and serving the value-added services. People downloading the application in order to access all of this. It's happening.
Yeah, and just to go back to the Earth nodes for a moment, those are key as well for the value-added services, and that's why we try to coordinate the release both of the testnet and the application, and that's why both developments are intended to be finished during this sprint. Depending of how they go, they will be both at the same time released or not, but it will be very close. Those two elements are key to what we're doing. And as I said before, the testnet, it will be kick off after this sprint if everything goes according to plan. And immediately, Earth node operators will be onboarded so they can start testing the testnet, of course, in a controlled fashion, but we want to onboard as many as possible soon after the kickstart of the testnet. The same way we want to put the application on the hands of all the customers that we already have, all the users that they are today enjoying for free the service. They will be converted into digital decentralized identities, and they will have a blockchain system behind the application working for them without them knowing, and with a self-sovereign identity that will allow them to enjoy all those services that, together with the Earth node operators, the network will provide.
We've got a huge team out there that's connecting these value-added services, looking at what's working with companies that have loaned out billions of dollars to mobile consumers and customers, and the app is the source. That's the portal to it all. That's where the Earth nodes process. That's where the Earth nodes deliver. That's where the network makes a lot of the revenue. But of course, it all starts with their nodes. If you can't connect, how do you process anything? So I know there's some concern in the community that if you can do all of this without the Earth node, why are Earth nodes needed? So I know that's the extreme version, but I think it's really clear why Earth nodes are needed, right? All these value-added services are going to be served by and from the Earth nodes, and we are using our own centralized version of an Earth node right now. So it's super exciting for every person in the ecosystem, the subscriber, the person that uses the application, the Anode owner and the Anode operator, because they're able to own a piece of infrastructure and earn from that, and of course the Earth node operators who are making the system happen and pushing the transactions and serving the services. And
talking about people using the network, we've got some pretty exciting news to share, right?
Yeah, we've got the first B2B customers. For us, actually, it's a really big milestone. For me personally, I want to see hundreds of thousands of customers jumping on the network and paying, and that's going to happen in moments. But yeah, this is big, right? The system works. It's happening, and people are paying us. So it's the first bits of revenue running through the first set of nodes around the office areas, and so that's exciting. And B2B is definitely an acquisition model we're going with, but actually, it's the B2C customers that we really want. That's where the masses come. Bringing on that first 100,000s. But we're serving quite a lot of users right now. As soon as they're converted to paying users, we expect some kind of drop off, right? It's normal. But then we'll start to see the real metrics coming through the nodes, and then we'll start to realize, this actually is looking really exciting.
I don't know whether Andy's here, and Andy can give us a very sort of quick update on some of those users, those B2B users that are already on the network. Let's see if Andy wants to give a quick update on that. Hey, Andy.
Andy to the ready. You could be muted, Andy. It looks like it to me.
Well, there's going to be plenty of news coming out about them very soon. So if Andy's not with us right now, he is. Hey, Andy.
Oh, how did I say anything, or was I on mute the whole time?
You were on mute the whole time.
Oh, what an amateur! I was just saying how great the AMA was so far, and really enjoying it. And thanks for everybody for listening. So yeah, the customers are adjacent and around our office. We've done that for just practical reasons, because we wanted to make sure the customer service and experience was the best we could possibly provide. And yeah, so we've got a bunch of shops. We've got a food shop, we've got a restaurant, we've got an electronics shop. And they all, we were really surprised about how eager they were to jump onto the World Mobile network and pay us for our services. So, so far the feedback's been great. They're happy with the speed and the service, and we're a part of the community out there, and it's just great being there and providing them a service and giving them a fair price. And we're looking forward to doing that the same for the mobile users. We're looking at doing coming through with our commitment of being about half the price of the mobile bundles per GB. So yeah, it's taken a while, but we've done things the right way and the scalable way, and I'm really happy, to be honest.
Get more customers on the network, Andy.
I'm going to get one of those billboards over my head.
Okay, let's go. Questions and answers. I think it's enough talking from us. Let's get some questions in from the community, Josie.
So it looks like we've got a couple of requests already. Let's see. We've got bridge identity. Can you hear us? I think you're on mute too. Are you there, Bridge Identity?
Bridge Identity, can you hear us?
Under the bridge.
Hello, hello.
We've also...
Yeah, now we hear you.
Hey.
How did I get to be...
Thanks for joining us.
I don't know how I got up here. Anyway. Hey, I just checking y'all out, and I do a bunch of identity architecture stuff, and just interested to see what y'all are up to.
Connecting the unconnected, man. Banking the unbanked.
Thanks for joining us, Bridge Identity. We've also got Carl. Carl, do you have a question for us?
Oh, hi. Hello. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So my questions are around World Mobile Token as a going concern. So 3 quick questions. I promise to be very brief. As the network develops, I know you guys are really excited about Aerostats, but do you plan as the network more develops to phase out Aerostats in favor of more permanent tower structures in the future? This doesn't have to be next year. This could be like 5 years down the line. The second question is what processes you guys have in place to develop local maintenance workforces for your network as you go from country to country? So there's someone who's always there to help build up the network, etc. And the third question is what risk mitigation plans for things like weather, political crises, that kind of thing. What FME analysis have you guys done to make sure that if a weather comes in, you guys can pull in the air stats on time, that kind of thing. And I guess the last question is for everyone. How do taxes, reinvestment, maintenance costs fit into your business model? And in particular, how it affects world mobile token holders. And that's it. Thank you very much, guys.
Okay, I'll take that first question. So phasing out aerostats in favor for permanent infrastructure. Well, permanent infrastructure has its merit in some places. It works, but it's not useful in other places. But actually, where we're going is, yes, you're right. We will be phasing out aerostats in 3 or 4 years' time. Phasing those out for airships that will be sitting at 20,000 meters in the sky using exactly the same payload that James is preparing for the aerostats that sit at 300 meters. I don't believe that steel towers are going to be extinct in 5 years' time, but I think that with a stratospheric, James, what can we cover stratospherically? Around 700 kilometers, right?
Well, the horizon is 700 kilometers. I mean, I think we would probably try and cover out a couple of hundred. I mean, the benefit of an aerostat is you put it up and a single aerostat serves the entire county of San Diego, which is a population of 10 million people. You can cover an enormous area. Now, if you want to put in a full tower infrastructure for San Diego, you will put in $100 million to do that at least, right? $200, $300 million, and it will take you 5-6 years. So that means you've got to put that much money in, that many towers, and you've got to wait 6 years until you've done it all, and then you can turn on your sign on your shop and say, hey, we're open for business, right? You put all of that capital in and waited all that time. So big advantage of an aerostat is you put in a modest amount of capital, you put it up and you cover the entire area. And then as you see hotspots come in, you put up towers, you put up rooftops, you put in small cells, and you build the capacity of the network sort of from the inside out rather than the outside in. And you look at the North Japanese island, 90% of the cells that the big operator put in there are virtually unused. So the problem is if you put in a huge amount of capital up front, you might get to 10 years and find that only 10% of the cells are even used. So that's the capital trick, I guess, for our network, is to get going and cover a lot of potential people and potential customers inexpensively and then fill it in afterwards.
Well said, James. And then question number 2 with workforce. So in Zanzibar, we've adopted the local culture. So we have Zanzibaris working with us. We've trained them up, people that were not engineers before, to become engineers. We've taught people how to fly aerostats and to get that going. So wherever we go, whichever country we enter, we have local teams and we build out with local teams. Of course, we always put a trusted person that knows how to run one of those local teams in country. But we definitely intend to embed with the local culture and employ local people. Question 3. Somebody else can take on.
I missed the last part of question 3. I'm having a couple of connectivity issues. Would you be able to repeat that?
You need World Mobile.
Yeah, I know. Would you be able to repeat question 3?
I don't think that we've still got that speaker on line.
It was mainly about the maintenance of equipment and so on over a period of time. I mean, eventually equipment requires to be maintained or swapped out for new equipment, and hopefully by that time we're in a nice steady state position. So the upgrading or replacement of equipment is met by an equivalent sort of revenue stream that's paying it, just like a big mobile operator. You know, you've got a whole bunch of customers on the thing, and you have to upgrade some of their hardware. Okay, that's just life. So
I think there was a question about tax. That's not for us to answer, really. Take advice locally, wherever you are, wherever you're running. If you're running the world mobile sharing economy and you're making money, my advice is that you always take the advice of a local tax person. And then finally, I think it was weather as well. Well, the aerostats are made to endure pretty heavy winds, and we do have alternatives as well. Backup networks that will then provide connectivity for the moment that the aerostats are down on the ground. Let's bring somebody else up, please, Josie.
So I think we've got Crypto Magus, who's been waiting for a little while with their hand up, so fire away.
Yes, thank you very much for taking me. I'm a part of the Earthnot community, so I need to touch on some questions about the Earthnot rewards document 2. There was no date, so we are talking about the when situation. And maybe can we get, please, a real date for the Earthnot rewards document? Will it be before testnet launch or in comparison to the NFT? When can we get those really important information for us? Because I think we are all thinking about economic stuff, and it would be really great to get some more information. Thank you very much, if possible. Second one would be maybe to Andrew. What will you estimations be for average customer paying for World Mobile in a month? If it's still the, let's say, $4 to $6, or is it getting higher with the app usage? And maybe the third one on testnet, or if testnet will not come this year, will we see mainnet launch in Q1, or will it be maybe, let's say, skip to some weeks in Q2? Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for your question. Let's go for question 2 first, so around payments. Andrew, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so well, the average ARPU in East Africa is sort of $3.50 for voice data. We've been very conservative, and we're assuming we're going to start off with as little as $1.50 in the very early days. But 100% with value-added services and all the bits we're going to put on top, we're going to far exceed our $3.50 market average. Micky, you can add.
And just to add to that, even with the one ARPU, as a minimalistic approach, it still returns a great ROI on an Anode, right? In Zanzibar. So we're expecting, as we grow that out to that $3, $5, $6 over the coming months and benefit the sharing economy for Anode operators, which will then incentivize more Anodes to go up, which then incentivizes more usage on the network because there's more coverage, which then gives more work for Earthnodes to do. So yeah, I think that's a.
And when it comes to the phase 2 of the document, we're going to have that published before the mainnet goes live.
Nice segue for me, Zach. So mainnet, there was a question of when mainnet. Of course, it is always depending on any potential issues that arise on testnet, but the goal, the intention, and what we're working for is to have mainnet on Q1.
Okay, thanks. Just to clarify, Zach, what you told us right now is we will not see the Earthnot documents parts 2 till mainnet?
Before mainnet, it could be sooner. We just got to finish everything up. You know, I totally appreciate the desire from the community to have the document, but we need to make sure what we're publishing is factually correct.
Therefore, you need the testnet to see how everything works out.
Yeah, there's a few complexities in there.
All right, thanks.
We absolutely endeavour to get it to you as soon as possible, but we want it to be as accurate as possible and to make sure that we've got the best chance of this. Right now, you know, we only sit behind Helium, but there'll be other DY projects that are coming out in the space, and we really want to have taken the time that we've had to get this perfect, get the sharing economy right, get it all moving in a way that we can scale on that explosive growth that I've always talked about. That's been the focus, and that still is the focus.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much.
Questions, I hope.
Questions, multiple. Thank you so much. Thanks for your questions. We really appreciate them. Nova, Earthnode, good to see you. Fire away. Are you with us, Nova?
I can hear typing.
Me too.
Okay, maybe we mute Nova for a second.
Let's move over to Alex. Are you there?
Nein, nicht im WLAN, Telekom-Netz.
I am here, but I think Nova's trying to say something.
I think Nova doesn't realize that we can hear him or her.
Okay, so I guess I can go ahead and ask my question. Actually, it's the first time that we are doing an AMA and no one thanked anyone. So I believe on behalf of everyone here and more, I would like to thank you for everything that you guys are doing.
Thank you too.
We're keeping track of everything you're doing online, social media, and it's quite impressive on how stretchly thin you guys are. You're stretching yourselves with everything that you do. So thank you. And my question is more for Antonio. I would like to ask, and I believe that's on behalf of all Earthnode operators out there, can we get the specs, the hardware specs, an updated version maybe, so we know what we're looking at for an Earthnode?
Yeah, so after this final spring, we are testing specs. So meaning that when we have the code complete version, we will put the node to stress and we will see which minimum specs do we require for this node. But remember that this is the release of the chain node, meaning it's only the blockchain side of things. It's not going to have the communication as a service modules or the value extra services, because that will come iteratively later down the road, right? So you can, if you need to preview what specs you will need immediately for the short term, I would say next week we can have an update on that, and it will be the lower range of specs, and then you can increase the specs and the performance of your nodes incrementally while we release new services. My personal advice is don't go for a huge machine right now, because it will be a lot of resources that won't be used. Go for a scalable solution where you can increase the resources of the box while you need it.
Thank you. And maybe a follow-up question. If we're looking at the testnet that you mentioned earlier, that there will be a selected few that will get on board, does that mean that everybody's going to work with the light version of the Earthnode?
Initially in this testnet, yeah, it will be everybody will have the same version of the Earthnode. But when you say a light node, you mean a non-producing node, or what do you mean by light node?
Basically, I mean that there won't be any value-added services, right? So it won't be
in this testnet. There won't. Yeah.
So basically, is there going to be a second testnet after that?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think that I already mentioned this, but in the docs, we need to update the docs site. That's something that I'm doing as well. But the testnet is going to be long-lived, and we will have, that we have chapters in our development. We have the central chapter that we are now, then Salvat, then Bonsommering. Each chapter will have its own testnet. It's not clear right now if we will spin up new testnets for each chapter, or we will evolve the previous chapter to the new one. But there will be a testnet for each important or each significant incremental version of the Earth node.
Thank you very much. And just the last one. So is it safe to say that we need at least, I don't know, a few weeks, if not a month, for each of those stages, of those chapters, before we move on to the next one?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Each chapter, it's a huge development in itself. But inside each chapter, we will keep iterating and introducing new features. So it's not like you will have to wait for 4 months for the next chapter to be on and have new things. We will be introducing new features as we go inside the chapters.
And I think it's
Perfect.
also important to add here that some of those chapters are sort of running concurrently. It's not always that, we're working on bits that are further down the chapters as we, even where we are now.
I think it's great. As soon as a module is created, you're going to be able to test it on testnet before we push it live to the mainnet, right? That's nice to have iterations and to see the progression as we build.
And that goes for those of you that have some software development experience. It goes in the continuous delivery mind frame, right? We want to, as soon as we have some feature ready and it's ready for production, we shoot it to the testnet. If everything goes okay, it goes to mainnet immediately after. So that's the iterative mindset that we have with development.
Thank you very much for your answers.
And thank you for your question and for your support, Alex. Thank you so much. We've got Castilito. Do you have a question for us?
Yes. Hi, guys. Thank you so much for everything that you guys do. So cheer up, keep going. My question is regarding Aernodes, right? I am excited for the possibility of owning an Aernode. And my question is, do you guys going to have any restriction for countries? Let's say, are you going to have an allow list of who can purchase an Aernode? Is there going to be a KYC process for that? And also, the second question is regarding the mobile app. Would you guys be integrating some sort of like an on and off fiat RAM for people who want to purchase WMT, or like kind of convert that back to their local currency? Thank you.
So Anodes will primarily be Zanzibar. We've got another 5 or 6 East African countries planned out, ready to go. But Zanzibar will be on what we call Operation Anode. KYC, there will be some KYC because we're providing the infrastructure for mainstream public to use. But it's very simple KYC. With regards to what was your second question, please?
You got cut off there. What was that?
What was your second question, please?
Yes, the second question was about the World Mobile app. If there's going to be like an on and off fiat RAM option for people.
We're working with some partners, very big partners. I can't discuss the name right now, but they have an interest in certainly in Africa for on-ramping and off-ramping fiat. It's something that is necessary, not necessarily for World Mobile Token because that's the utility, but for our customers and potentially for Aernode operators in those regions that want to get paid in a stable coin, for example. So yeah, that's all being thought about and is very functional. And the mobile app itself, there'll be a local version initially released for Zanzibar, but then there'll be a global version released that anybody can download and utilize some of the features that are inside the application. And then there'll be localized versions for each country where we run a B2C service.
Good. That's good. Also, I forgot to ask. I don't know if somebody asked this before. Is there any dates for Aerostat purchase or not yet?
Pending. It's very soon. So we hope that maybe before the end of this year we can start Operation Anode in Zanzibar, and we're pushing for that. If not the beginning of next year.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your question. Who have we got here? D. Ford. What's your question? Thanks for joining us.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes. I have a question. Since you guys are expanding in Africa quite extensively with World Mobile, are you guys planning on doing some migrations over to Gambia and Senegal?
Every country is on the roadmap. This is World Mobile. And what you see us doing in Zanzibar and other countries is the same model which works everywhere in the world. You've already seen on the call today, we've talked about the USA. So absolutely, Gambia, Senegal, we have our market access team and regulatory team constantly evaluating what's going on, and they're great candidates for what we're doing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for your question. Who have we got next? Christian, what's your question?
Hello, thanks for having me up. There's been some discussion about some rural areas in the United States. Can you guys speak on what locations those might be, or what kind of market you're looking to fulfill in those locations?
James, I think you're the best to go here. We've got the rural problem and we've got the Swiss cheese problem.
Yeah, I mean, so we are trying to solve the connect the unconnected in both sort of Silicon Valley, where it's quite prevalent, and also in more wilderness areas like Wyoming. If you go to the FCC website, they actually give you a list of all of the really difficult to cover places, and the places that are effectively not spots in America. And so we're looking at which one of those make the most sense to cover. You also know that there's a lot of funding in America to cover the unconnected. And so we're trying to make sure that our equipment that we're building and designing meets the objective, meets the specification that's required in America to connect difficult to connect people.
Awesome. Another question, if I may. So in regards to like places out in Wyoming, those people, when they are connected on World Mobile, if they're not so much in that general area, fixed location, and they're somewhere else, whether that's like traveling or driving, is there kind of like, does that play well with other networks in terms of like their coverage, or are they just strictly kind of in that predefined area that's provided through World Mobile?
That's a very good question. So, I mean, there are two ways that it works in America. One is that you offer a retail service and then you can roam nationally in America on all the other services. So we would certainly provide you with. So how does Charles do it? Charles has two eSIMs on his iPhone. One is his eSIM for his home network. The other one is whatever network he currently uses. I don't happen to know what it is. And the iPhone deals with all of the tedious sort of mucking around in hyperspace to do the Douglas Adams quote, which means that when he turns up on the ranch, he just automatically picks up the data and uses the local data. And when he moves out, and drives down to Denver, then it just seamlessly hands over. Now, that's done at the handset side. You can also do it at the network side. So you can either have you can either roam on our SIM stroke eSIM, so he would still get access to, he'd roam onto AT&T or T-Mobile when he's away from the local coverage. And then the sort of the Nirvana position is that also if he's got an AT&T SIM, he can roam into the ranch using his AT&T SIM. And so we are working on all of those capabilities in our core, but both roam out and roam in, and the sort of handset mediated, just pick the best coverage, please.
Awesome. Yeah, it's definitely a great direction. The typical telecommunications, they're a little hesitant to provide in those areas, regardless of what service you're on. I go to a lot of those places all over the country, so I have my fair share of connection issues. But it's great that you guys are focusing on that and addressing it, and I think there's definitely a good market there. Thank you so much for answering the questions.
Thank you for joining us, and thank you for taking the time to ask. Are there any other questions? Anyone else who has anything that they'd like to ask that we maybe could cover in more detail or haven't touched on today?
Well, I can see that in the Earthnode chat it's getting a bit rowdy. So just to reiterate, Testnet will be this year, Earthnode operators. Just to reiterate, Earthnode operators, you are extremely important in the ecosystem. And if more of you want to come up and speak and discuss, I welcome your questions.
Yeah. I think it's sometimes we have to remember we've got a lot of simultaneous work streams, developments taking place. In the product roadmap, we have put timelines, and we're committed to delivering on those. We've done this call today just at the end of November, and we've still got a lot of work that we're doing, but we're still committed to delivering on what we've proposed. It's exciting times. If we had a Twitter Spaces in a couple of weeks when we're on the other side of some of these deadlines, then let's do that. So thanks for everybody's support, and really appreciate it.
Thanks, Alan. I think we have another question here from Karma Paul just come in. Karma, what's your question?
Hi, thank you very much for having the space. As always, Micky, Antonio, everybody, this is so great to hear from you once again. And there's so much moving in. Just a comment first, if I could, and then the question. So I'll tee you up and with hopefully a softball here, and I'm sure you'll hit it out of the park. But first thing is just a comment. There is so much negativity going on in crypto right now that I think it's. I hope nobody at World Mobile takes any commentary from our Earthnode chat as. And I haven't caught up on all of it, frankly, because I've been doing other projects for the pool. But I would just say that some of the tone in a lot of forums lately amongst stake pool operators like myself and others has grown a little negative. And I think that's really reflective of the malaise in general across the industry and shouldn't be taken, kind of out of context.
Absolutely. It's totally understandable.
As anything against World Mobile of all things. In fact, and this is where I'll pivot, I would just say that, just speaking personally, I'm not going to speak for all operators. I can't do that, nor would I try. But for myself, I got to tell you that as a business venture, I have never been more excited to build and to launch and to do things that we're doing, including, and probably most excitingly, the World Mobile Earthnode launch. So keep doing what you're doing, guys. Communicate, over-communicate at the risk of boring someone. You will never bore me, and you will never bore, I think, most operators by communicating. So keep it coming. Keep all that information going. Yeah. We are more than happy to do our part. One question. Sorry, Micky, were you going to say something? I didn't mean to step on you.
No, not at all. Thanks, Karma. Appreciate your words.
No worries at all. Always great to hear from you guys. One question I did have architecturally, as we're preparing our infrastructure for Testnet and ultimately for Go Live, I've looked at the requirements and everything, and I'm pretty well versed in those. But I just want to make sure that I understand a key element of architecture. So in the Cardano native world of stake pool operators, we run basically what could be termed bastion hosts or relays, right? Proxies, if you will, bastion hosts in the form of relays out front of our core nodes, or node singular. Typically, it's a single instance behind a set of bastion hosts, to bring out an old 90s term, proxies, you might say, relays out front that are the only things that are seen by the internet directly, right? The core node is never to be seen by the internet directly, and that's partly greatly for security reasons, and also allows for interesting levels of resilience and what have you. So my question is, when it comes to World Mobile, do you expect to follow this similar architecture of some number of relays out front with a core node behind, or do you expect the core node to be visible to the internet? Maybe Antonio, I don't know.
Yeah, I can take that. Right now, the core node is visible to the internet, but as you know already, we have a segregation of concerns in the chain. So we have two layers. Mm-hmm. Our node is the telecommunication settlement layer, mm-hmm. and is mostly distributed ledger about telecom events. And then we have the financial settlement layer, which is on Cardano. So we have the best of both worlds, right? The financial settlements are secured by Cardano itself, and in my opinion, is one of the best layer ones doing that. And I think that if you are a stake pool operator, you share that opinion with me.
Yeah.
While the chain that we're building, we call internally the AYA chain, is a code name that we have, because the Earth node is the joining of all these features with the extra services and the Cardano client, etc. But we have a node that is going to be exposed by the internet, but it's not settling financial information.
Got it. I would offer that one of the areas that people like myself could help with is, as you approach Testnet, I work in cybersecurity almost exclusively for the last 20 years, but have a deep network security background and networking background. So I would be happy to do some penetration testing.
Please,
I would be happy.
Please, red team the F out of the node.
Yeah. Exactly. I want to do some pen testing of my own, and I want to, hopefully help the community by doing that. So if we can chat at whatever speed you want, I'll wait for your cue. But
that would be great. Yeah.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thanks, Karma.
Thank you, Karma.
Thank you.
Thanks,
guys.
Karma. We'll add you, and feel free to drop us a message, and we can carry on the conversation. We've got Big Jim waiting to speak. What's your question?
G'day, everybody. Can you hear me?
Sure can.
Hey, Big Jim.
Excellent. So at the moment, we've got around about 15,000 to 20,000 daily users on the network. The jump from that to 1 million to 100 million in the next couple of years seems almost inconceivable. Are you guys very certain in your timelines that you've projected for hitting those numbers?
It's a very straight up question, but of course we are. 100%. That's what we're going for. We're not just building a wisp in Zanzibar. We're building an entire ecosystem, a sharing economy that can actually explode, right? That can be taken to Nigeria. That can be taken to anywhere. People can just download the software and off you go, plug and play, off the shelf hardware. That you can use our aerostats and our custom antennas in order to provide ubiquitous cell coverage for places that have never had that before. So, yeah, of course, inconceivable. I think it was inconceivable how quickly Google grew, right? I'm not saying that we will, with the next Google, I'm saying that there's 2.9 billion people waiting to be connected. And whoever has a solution that can get out there, then they're going to be the next big thing.
I think if you're looking at, if it was World Mobile going to deploy every one of these nodes like a traditional mobile operator, it would be a challenge. But it's not World Mobile alone doing this. This is the community that will build the network. Of course, the first deployment that you're seeing, we're at the early stages. We're at the beginnings of what's going to be. So once that model is proven and is able to be deployed in other countries, it allows for simultaneous deployment in not just 1, 2, 3 countries, but across the world. So I think it's entirely feasible, and it's going to be down to the community. It'll be down to partners. It'll be down to the community to help us get there.
That is very comforting to hear. And I guess as like a little second question, when is the Earthnode operator party scheduled for?
Now that is a good question.
I like that question too.
We have to hit a milestone of X transactions or X processes, but we'll plan soon. TM.
All right, I like to hear that. Let me know, because coming from Australia, it's a long distance to most places, but I'm willing to make the trip.
You and Zach are both awake. Where are you based in Australia?
Down in Tasmania, about as far away from everywhere as you can get.
Wow, that's remote.
And we need World Mobile down here as well. The internet is terrible.
What have you got at home?
Sitting on not even a fiber to the house, spectrum to the house. So there's a radio tower somewhere shooting Wi-Fi to a dish on my roof. And I'm sitting right next to the modem because otherwise I don't get much reception.
Do you have a specialist router?
Yes.
Okay, so it's really packet lossy, right?
Yes, very packet lossy, terrible for gaming, terrible for listening to Twitter Spaces.
Okay. You'll be glad to hear that the World Mobile Network is not packet lossy like this kind of old legacy stuff. I know what you're talking about. It's microwaves, right? Maybe even TV white space, actually.
I think it's mostly microwave, but I don't know enough about it to say for certain.
Take a picture, send it over. We'll tell you what it is.
All right, I will
Thanks
do.
a lot.
I better let someone else get talking. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for your question. Really appreciate it. Do we have any more questions before we wrap up? And of course, if you do think of any more questions, you can add them onto the tweet. We're really happy to answer anything that we can. But last call for any questions before we wrap up for this evening. Oh, looks like we've got one more. Let's add Doomsday as a speaker. Hi, thanks for joining us. What's your question?
Hi, guys. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Loud and clear.
Excellent. I just stumbled upon you in my adventures here. I have a couple questions. Is this a direct competitor with what the Helium and Colin are doing now?
Oh, our favourite question. Who wants that one? James, you fancy that?
Direct competitor with what they're doing now. We don't intend to launch in the States until we're offering a full service, including voice and SMS and so on. So no, we're aiming to launch a full cellular service, not a data only service. I think both of those people will talk about doing or have talked about doing full service. So I'm not suggesting that they can't or wouldn't ever, but you asked the question what they're doing now. And obviously no one in that field is working on any of the Aerostat long-range advanced antenna work that we're doing. So we are differentiated in both more advanced antenna design and a more advanced network design.
Excellent answer. My second question, looks like you were on my DAO. You might be the developers I'm looking for. I have a third world country idea that incorporates all of the mining, incorporating GeoNet, you guys, several potential for third world countries, including what they call 5G, which we know it's not, but still it can be used in the third world. And I believe that I could talk to you guys off of here and see, but I think it'll work really well. Is that something that you guys would be entertaining to talk to somebody about?
I'm always entertained to talk to people with additional cellular ideas. Absolutely. So I'm quite happy to discuss it with you, and see what you have. Yeah.
That's excellent. Guys, I really like this. I'm going to look into it. I'd like to participate. Please tell everybody that how I go about doing that so everybody can know and participate. Thanks, guys. I'll leave it at that.
Thanks so much for coming on to say that. We really appreciate it.
There's another requested person, Crypto M something, Crypto Magus.
Crypto Magus, thanks for joining us again.
Yes, hello. This is Marcus again. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can. Thanks
Great.
for coming back to speak to us again.
Just for the super air nodes, are there some more information or is there a timeline when it will be launched or how to get in contact?
For an Aerostat?
Yes, for the super air nodes, I think you call it.
The super. Sure, you can reach out to Josie at World Mobile directly, or there'll be more information on the website as it gets released in the next couple of weeks for the Operation Anode.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cool. Well, I think.
Well, Hosky's here. What's up, Hosky? Oh, Rick. Go for it.
Rick, how's it going? Hi, Husky.
Okay, what's happening? Have we got anybody speaking? Any more questions?
Only you,
Let's
Alan.
go.
I thought Rick was here. Hosky's here.
Does anybody have any questions?
I do.
Hosky.
Rick. I've got one, which is from Einstein, which is about super air node Aerostat versus the on-ground air nodes. He's just wondering if a user's like in range of both the Aerostat and the air node, which will get priority with the user.
Nice one, James.
The
one for you.
Node almost certainly will get priority for a whole bunch of reasons. Not that in a HETnet system, it actually gets a 15 dB get out of jail free, card boost in its score, because you want to offload capacity from the large cells to the small cells wherever you can. So 90+% it'll be on the air node on the ground rather than the air node in the sky.
Yeah, great. That's what I thought. Thanks for that.
The same as around 90% or even more, 95% of the traffic you offload is to your home Wi-Fi, not to towers next to your home.
Yeah, I thought it would work that way, but I wanted to get the answer from you guys rather than just giving it myself. So nice one.
No problem.
See you later.
Thanks, Rick.
See you later, Rick.
Cheers, Rick.
Love you all.
We love you too. Husky, what's your question?
Hey
Thanks
guys,
for joining us.
Just wanted to say congratulations. I saw a tweet earlier from Clover Nodes, I believe it was, that you guys have your first paying B2B customer. So I think that's a great thing to get going with World Mobile. So congratulations.
Thanks, Husky.
Thank you.
Thank you. We really appreciate that. Okay, I think that's the last of the questions. Any more updates from the team before we close off for this evening or this morning?
I think it's time to carry on building and get delivering, and let's aim for the end of this year achieving what we've set out to achieve. So great to see everybody, and thanks for your support.
The same. Also, I see Denisio here in the chat. Denisio, I didn't get to say hi in Lausanne, but you did a good job of giving the award away. Catch you sometime soon. Thank you very much, everyone. Over and out from me.
Thanks for joining us. See you again soon.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.